Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting live stream. In this video, I'm going to be talking about supermash. Supermash is a game that lets you combine multiple game genres to create your own mini games that you can share and play with your friends. Well, share with your friends. The mini games that you create are single player experiences. But let's get started. Supermash is a game that was created by a developer called Digital Continue. In Supermash, you choose two classic game genres, and then the game will randomly generate a short retro mini game that is a blend of those two genres you selected. There are, I believe, 7 genres available. Action adventure, which is kind of like a top-down Legend of Zelda style game. Stealth, which is like a Metal Gear Solid kind of game. Platformer, which is kind of like a Mario style game. Shoot 'em up, which is kind of like a Galaga like scrolling shooter kind of game. Um, I'm trying to remember all of them. JRPG, which is kind of like a Final Fantasy style game. Um, and I think maybe a couple more genres from that. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. But the way that the game works is that you can select any two genres or the same genre twice, and then the game will randomly generate a mini game that is a combination of those two genres. So you can combine like a platformer shoot 'em up, and it'll be like a platforming game with like shoot 'em up mechanics, or you play a platformer but you play as like a spaceship with like laser guns that like flies around the different platforms, or it's a shoot 'em up game but you play it with like a platforming character and you like jump on like the enemy vehicles and stuff like that. So there are multiple different ways that it can combine these genres together, and there are many possible combinations that you can create with the game. Godzilla said, "Neat." Yo, Godzilla, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy, and do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? Also, don't forget to smash that like button. Truly appreciate it. If you have any questions about Super Mash during the course of this video, feel free to post any of your questions in the live chat. This is something that I've been interested in talking about, but I haven't run into a lot of people particularly interested in discussing it. So I feel like this stream is a good way to discuss it with people who are interested in the topic. And if you happen to be watching this stream after the fact, feel free to post in the comment section below any questions you have about Super Mash. So this game has received mixed but mostly negative reception, I would say. I've read multiple reviews, I've watched multiple reviews on YouTube, I've watched gameplay on YouTube. The game is currently available on Steam, I believe. It may not be on Steam, it may be on the Epic Game Store specifically for PC players, and it'll be coming to Nintendo Switch and PS4 this May. So I'm personally excited to get the game, but I will say that for the most part, people have not liked it. Critics have said that the game is repetitive and difficult. The random generation that the random generation has a limited number of assets to pull from, leading to many games feeling extremely similar to one another. So you might find yourself making games that are different, like the random generation doesn't make them exactly the same, but they don't feel different enough from each other to make the experience feel that different. You know what I mean? You feel like you're playing different levels of almost like the same game rather than creating an entirely new random experience each time, if that makes sense. Critics also noted that the difficulty of the game was in most cases not due to clever level design, but rather broken mechanics and a vague clue system. So the clue system for the game is what tells you the objective of the game you're playing. More often than not, your objective is given like a name without showing you an image for reference. For example, you might have a mission where you're supposed to defeat the Dark Mage in 5 minutes. And then you're placed in the middle of a fantasy world full of similar looking wizards with no idea who the Dark Mage is. Or maybe you're supposed to find the Aqua Crystal, but you, again, end up in like a platformer where there are a whole bunch of different crystals, and maybe some of them hurt you, and some of them help you, and some of them give you like different abilities. But which one's the aqua crystal, you know? So because the clue system is kind of vague on what your objective is, just giving an arbitrary name to some asset that it places in the world, it can sometimes be hard to figure out what you're actually supposed to do. Also, the game has a glitch mechanic that involves each game having glitches that help or hurt the player's ability to achieve their objective. Essentially, when you create a game in Supermash, you're able to set the length and the difficulty of the game that you're playing. So if you make your game easy, your game is more likely to have more good glitches rather than bad glitches. So these are glitches that will overall help you reach your objective. But the harder you make your game, the more bad glitches the game will have. Things will occur in the game to specifically hinder your ability to progress through it. Critics have noted that these glitches activate based on triggers that the game won't tell you about until after they activate. So you could have a glitch that says every time you move left, it summons a new enemy. And you don't know until the first time you move left, oh no, that summons new enemies. So the glitches always happen to catch you by surprise, but not always in a good way. Volt said, yo, what's good? Yo, Volt, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? And do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? Right now, I'm talking about a video game called Supermash. It's a game that lets you create your own mini games that you can share with your friends by combining one or more retro game genres together. So you can make like a JRPG platformer or like a shoot 'em up action adventure game, stuff like that. Right now, I'm talking about the Super Mash game. This is like a kind of like a open video where you guys can ask questions, leave comments, more just like a discussion between you and I about like Super Mash. So definitely let me know your thoughts and let me know if you have any questions. I have done a good bit of research on it, where I've looked at like the official game's website. I've been looking at critic reviews on the internet, like written reviews as well as YouTube video reviews, and I've watched gameplay of it. So I've seen a lot of Super Mash. The only thing I haven't done yet is play it, because it doesn't come out for PS4 until May, but it is currently available on PC. This is something I've been interested in talking about, but I just haven't had a lot of people to talk about it with. So, like I said, if you guys have any questions or comments about Super Mash, I would definitely love to talk about it with you guys. I was actually in the middle of talking about the critical reception of the game, like how critics feel about Super Mash. So let me continue through talking about how critics have reacted to specifically the glitch mechanic of the game. So, critics have noted that these glitches, which are a feature of the game, are activated based on triggers that the game won't tell you until after they've activated, and that these glitches either make each game extremely easy or impossible to play. There are glitches that make it where you ignore damage, so you can just like run through like battles no problem. And then there are also glitches where you can attack, and every time you attack, it summons a new enemy somewhere in the level, which can make levels almost impossible to play. Let's see, Godzilla said, how much money is it? So he wants to know how much Super Mash costs. I'll pull that up now. So I'm gonna pull up the Nintendo Switch page for Super Mash. I imagine it costs the same regardless of what platform you get it on. So I'm on the Nintendo Switch page, and it has a whole bunch of information on it. I don't see. Here's the price. It's only $20, and it comes out May 8th, 2020. So if you're interested in purchasing Super Mash, it costs a third as much as like a like brand new video game. So it's not like super expensive or anything. But like I've said, critics seem to not like it. Like even though it's such an inexpensive game, critics are still like mediocre or bad is their reaction to the game. With all that being said, I actually am still a little bit hyped for Super Mash. Like I do think I'm going to buy the game once it comes out in May for PS4. The reason why I'm still interested in buying it, even though the reception has been so negative, is because the game allows you to create mini games that you can play and share with your friends. Sometimes I just want to play a short adventure of a specific genre without necessarily playing a full game. And one thing that I've been like somewhat craving is like a JRPG or like an action adventure game that I can put down whenever I want. But I do feel like a lot of those games are normally long and have like a high level of investment in them. Like they're not the kind of game that you can pick up and play. Where I think Supermash will allow me to go, you know what, I think I want to play a JRPG for like 15 minutes and then make a 15-minute long JRPG that I can play pretty casually and still get a new experience with each time. I noticed that Beth popped into the live chat. She said, "Guess who is still procrastinating on my creative project work?" Lol. Hey, good to see you, Beth. I hope you're doing well. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? And do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? Right now, I'm talking about Super Mash, a game where you're able to combine two game genres into one, and the game will randomly create a mini game that you can play that is a combination of those two genres. Right now, I'm explaining why, even though critics have given negative or mediocre reception to the game, saying that it's either like all right or doubt or outright bad. I'm essentially talking about how I'll still probably get it and play it. Godzilla said, "God damn it, lol. Is everything all right, Godzilla?" Beth said, "I just posted something on my cosplay Instagram." Cool. Feel free to post your cosplay Instagram into the live chat if you would like people to check it out. Volt said, "This game sounds pretty damn fun." I mean, I honestly think I'll have a fun time playing it, but I've watched people play it, and a lot of the times the games are either really easy or they're like insanely difficult, like way harder than you think they'd be. I watched one guy play a pure platformer where the two genres he picked were just platformer and platformer. And then when he meshed them together, it was just really difficult. Um, it's hard for me to explain it, but I saw him play like a platforming game where the way the enemies were placed, it was just really difficult to maneuver. It looked fun, to be honest, but the guy was really getting like stressed over it because there were no checkpoints. So he'd make it like a reasonable distance through the level and then kind of get screwed over. The game gives you random power ups and stuff at the start of each level. So it'll show you like your character, it'll show you your stats. Every character has like a different health or speed stat, and then it'll show you your different abilities. And essentially, the trick to beating that platformer level is you had to be really smart about your spacing, like how close you got to enemies, and you had to be able to shoot at them before they shot at you. But he had a glitch on where it said every time he moved left, he toggled on and off whether or not enemies shot at him. So if he like did his movement just right, he could make it where none of the enemies shot at him. But the issue is you have to space out your movement in order to make sure that you can properly hit your enemies. So there was a whole bunch of like mind game shit going on. And it looked fun, but you could tell it was really frustrating. Like the guy playing it was not entirely enjoying himself. I also watched him play an action adventure slash Metroidvania style game. I forgot. Metroidvania is one of like the genres that you can pick to like combine with other genres. So he was playing an not an action platform, an action adventure Metroidvania game. And it seemed like he would do really well in the action adventure part, but what would happen is that he would enter a room and suddenly it became a Metroidvania game, and in that room he was just lost. It took him forever to do like anything. Like he would try to jump onto a platform and he would like hit a spike by mistake and die, and then it would take him all the way to the beginning of the game because there were no checkpoints, and then he'd have to like grind his way through the action adventure part to get to the Metroidvania part, and then he would get to the platform that he died trying to get to before, and then immediately die to an enemy and have to do like all of this shit again. And he was like, I can't do it. But it does seem fun. It just seems like most of the time, if you're having fun, the game is really hard. And then, like, the rest of the time, the game is insanely easy. Like, you'll go into a level where you just can't get hurt and you're running around and the objective is to like kill an enemy, and then you're like, well, nothing can hurt me, so you run around until you find the enemy and you just kill him, And it's like, oh, I did it. It was really easy. Stuff like that. So, like, I'm excited for it. I'm still gonna buy it, but I understand why people feel so weird about it. Beth said, if y'all don't know this already, my cosplay Instagram is at evanescence.cosplay. Beth said, I posted my Instagram, you squeesh. I see it. Godzilla said, I was saying it like lol is a person. Oh, interesting. Let's see. Beth said, Godzilla, plan on making an Instagram for George the Hungry? Lol. Then Godzilla said, I don't have an Instagram. Well, she's asking if you're planning on making one, specifically for your fictional character, George the Hungry. Let's see. Oh, let me get back to what I was talking about before. I was talking about why I'm hyped for the game and why I'm probably going to buy the game, even though critics have said that the game, excuse me, is either mediocre or just downright bad. So sometimes I just want to play a short adventure of a specific genre without necessarily playing a full game. I think that'll honestly help me get into genres that I normally don't play too often. Like if I enjoy playing the simple supermash mini games, maybe they'll help me want to experience those games for longer. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll play enough of those mini games to where I'm like, you know what? I've played like enough stealth mini games in Supermash. Maybe I do want to try like a retro Metal Gear Solid game. Or I've been playing a bunch of JRPGs and Super Mash recently. Maybe I should try out a new Final Fantasy. Like stuff like that. So I'm hoping that it helps me get into those genres by giving me short little like taste of what those genres are like. And it'll allow me to explore these genres more and figure out what I like and dislike about each one. Also, I think it would just be a fun game to play occasionally in order to pass the time, since it normally makes little mini games that are only like 10 to 15 minutes long, sometimes like as short as 5 minutes, and you can control the duration of the game. So you can make games longer or shorter depending on what you'd like. So, I mean, yeah, maybe I just feel like playing a platformer today. I'm like, I want to play a platformer game. So I put on Super Mash and I start streaming and I go, hello, we're going to play this platformer on Super Mash, play it for 15 minutes, have a good time. And then if I'm like, I want to play another platformer, I can do it again and get like an entirely new game for free that's just there. With like a new character to play as and like a new story. By the way, I forgot to mention the games that are made in Super Mash each have their own like title screen and they have like a story crawl that's randomly generated. So it'll show you the title and then you'll like hit a button and it'll give you like the story behind what's going on in the game, all computer generated, and then it'll tell you what your objective is and then it drops you into the game. So it is almost like playing a full game that's just really short. Like it has all the production of like a full game, but it's just a short game. Let's see. Godzilla said, I don't plan. Beth said, I would 10 out of 10 follow that Instagram if you made it. Then she said, Instagram greater than Twitter. Volt said, never trust critics. He's like, critics may be saying that Super Mash is a bad game, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game. Godzilla said, they said that the Godzilla King of the Monsters movie was garbage. Me and the rest of the audience disagreed. Understandable. So you guys are very much against the idea of taking like the critic's word as like the word of law. You're like, you should try out the game, see if it's good or not. Kaylee said, hey yo, Kaylee, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? And do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? Right now I'm talking about this game, Super Mash. Super Mash is a game that allows you to create mini games by picking two retro game genres. So let's say you want to play like an action adventure JRPG. You can pick those two genres and then they'll like mish together and create a game that you can play. But not only can you play the game, you can share it with your friends. So whenever you make a game in Super Mash, it generates like a little code that you can send to a friend who has Super Mash. They can type that code in, and then they can play the exact same game that you played, which I have some interesting ideas based around that. But how do you feel about like the concept of Super Mash? I want to ask everybody their thoughts on the game's like premise. What would you try to create in the game? Has this inspired you to create anything cool or to pick up Super Mash yourself? Definitely let me know. But let's keep this discussion riding. Let's see. Volt said, "Hi, Kaylee." Beth said, "At Kaylee, want to play a fun game called Like My Latest Post on Instagram? Lol." Beth said, "Also, it makes me uncomfortable that Jet won't buy every one of my cosplays." Understandable. Kaylee said, "At Beth, I just played that actually." Then Beth said, "Thank you, at Kaylee." Kaylee said, "It makes me uncomfortable when Nick doesn't have an Instagram, so he can't like your pics." Then Beth said, "I could make an Instagram for Nick. You probably shouldn't make Instagrams for other people." Godzilla said, "I like the concept. I'm glad that you vibe with it." Kaylee said, "Super Mash sounds interesting." I agree that Super Mash sounds interesting, but if you were to check out reviews of it, most people say it's either or that it's just bad. But I do have a few more things I want to share about the game that are kind of making me go, you know what, I still want to play it beyond what I've already said. Volt said, "The concept sounds fun. I definitely check it out." Godzilla said, "I would make a JRPG Metroidvania." I agree that that combination sounds really cool. Tell me, what are your two favorite retro gaming genres that you would love to see combined? Everybody in the live chat, let me know. I would love to hear what cool combinations that you would try out or that you would like to see me try out once the game comes out this May. Um, Another cool thing that I like about Super Mash, I like that the game includes a collectible dev card system that allows you to customize your games further. So whenever you play through a Super Mash game and you beat it, you unlock a certain number of dev cards depending on how difficult the game was. So easy games don't give you a bunch of dev cards, but beating a hard game will give you, I think, like 5 or 6 dev cards. Most dev cards only are like a one-time use, so you're able to customize a game with them, but then once you use the card, it kind of vanishes out of your inventory. But rare dev cards are dev cards that you can always use to customize your games whenever you want. So it incentivizes you to play more and more Super Mash games so that you can unlock more cards and you're able to actually customize the games to be more like the way you want to play them. Then, thanks to the share code system, it's possible for you to share your custom games with people. So it's like the game randomly generates a game for you, and then you can use the dev cards to be like, okay, so I like the game that was randomly generated, but maybe I want to play as a different character, or maybe I want a different enemy type to be featured in the game, or maybe I want to change some of the character's abilities, stuff like that, to kind of put your own flavor on the randomly generated game. Also, thanks to the share code system, it's possible for you to monetize Super Mash games. So let's say you've collected your favorite dev cards. You just played a really good JRPG Metroidvania Super Mash, and you're like, this game's kind of fire. Like, I actually really like this game that I made. So you equip the dev cards that you want to it, and now the game's not only fun to play, but it has all the custom features that you wanted it to have. And now you're like, I want to let other people play this game, but like charge for it. So what you could do is you could monetize it by saying, "Hey, I have this cool game that I made in Super Mash. If you want me to share the code with you, like hit me up with like $5 or something. Share Super Mash code, $1 or whatever." And it's a way for you to kind of make and sell your own games via Super Mash using the codes. Pretty much anything that lets you share content privately can allow you to then monetize it. Because it's not like when you make a Super Mash game that there's like an online lobby where like anyone can see what anyone's made. You have to choose to give up the codes. I think that's interesting. Because I feel like that'll lead to a little mini economy where you're able to create your own little retro games. So I think that would be cool. But what are you guys' thoughts on that? Beth said, "I got some really cool stuff I planned for my Instagram coming either at the end of this week or early next week. Stay tuned." Then Beth said, "Nick, no spoilers on my upcoming Instagram post. Lol." Kaylee said, "I'm ready for it." Beth said, "Also entering an online cosplay competition later this week. Can I make a Wine and Bussy crossover on Super Mash? Lol." Wine and Bussy aren't retro game genres, so probably not. But creative idea nonetheless. So let's see. Does anyone have any additional thoughts or questions about Super Mash? I'm probably going to end this video soon. Don't worry, I have more videos planned to upload like very soon after this one. A matter of fact, the next video that I'm planning on doing after the Super Mash video is a Trials of Mana stream. So Trials of Mana is created by the same people who made Final Fantasy. Trials of Mana was originally called Spirit of Mana, and it's a game that's been like Japanese exclusive for many years. Last year for the Nintendo Switch, they released a collection of the Trials of Mana games in their original retro style, but it was a Nintendo Switch only game. So I wasn't able to get into it when it finally came to America last year because I don't have a Switch. A couple days ago, they released Trials of Mana Remake, which is like a 3D action RPG Trials of Mana game where they've updated the graphics. It looks really colorful. It's in like full HD, and it's just like a modern version, similar to the Final Fantasy VII remake that the same company came out with like this year. But the difference being that the Trials of Mana remake is more, it's more honest to the original game. The Final Fantasy VII one is like they change story elements and it feels almost like a radically different game. Where the Trials of Mana remake is like, if you played the old one, it's essentially that but new. But a lot of people in America just haven't ever played the old one, so it's just going to be their first exposure to it. So I think that's going to be cool. So I hope you guys are hyped for that Trials of Mana gameplay video I'm going to be doing soon. Volt said, honestly, I think I'd try out Super Mash just to see how the random generation is. Critics have said that the random generation is repetitive, so there are only so many different assets that are available. So, at the very least, visually, if you keep blending the same genres together, you're going to see a lot of games that look fairly samey. That being said, I will say that the gameplay I've watched still shows like pretty interesting games, not gonna lie. Let's see. Beth said maybe a D&D inspired dystopian game. So action adventure and JRPG are genres that are available in Super Mash, but the stealth genre combined with one of those could probably lead to an interesting dystopian kind of game. Godzilla said writing vlog. Bolt said, by the way, I posted the story for the first Sleepwalker. Ooh, ballin'. Bolt said, I agree with Godzilla. Writing vlog. Beth also said, writing vlog. Don't worry, I've been doing a lot of work on the Heart of Heroes multiverse. I've actually created several characters throughout the course of the day, so don't worry. I have updates. There will be a writing vlog. That being said, have I planned for when the next writing vlog will be? Not yet, but I think I know when. I might do a writing vlog tonight, a little bit later. Let me give you guys the schedule that I've written for myself so far. So I'm going to stream Trials of Mana pretty soon. Next up, I'm going to do a weekly comic tier list video where I essentially do a tier list of the comics that came out this week, talking about which I think were like the best and which I thought were the worst. Then I'm gonna have a video that's a DC comic pitch video, essentially based on the comics that came out this week. I'm going to give pitches for what I think future comics would be like that I would really enjoy. Nerd Tinker said, "Yo, Jet, yo, Nerd Tinker, welcome to the stream. Is good to have you. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? And do you have any discussion topics you like to talk about on the stream?" And then after that, I'm going to do a next week's comic showcase where I talk about all the comics that are going to be coming out next week. And we just discuss them like ahead of time. We like speculate, like, oh, I wonder which ones are going to be good, which ones are going to be better than the ones that came out this week, etc. So those are my plans for like the next few hours or so. Let's see. Beth said writing vlog. Godzilla said the lizard people are really crazy, by the way. Beth said I can ask Kratos to bribe Jet into doing one if you guys would like. And Godzilla said yes, please. Bolt said nah. He said he'll do one. This gives me time to make a whole ass new species. Ayo, yeah. I mean, it is a good opportunity for you guys to be able to just create more stuff in the meantime. So I think it all works out. Anyways, I'm going to end the stream here. If you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button, favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding, 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 ring the notification bell to be notified whenever we do these live streams. There's your friend, your boy, Jump Like the One Only, logging out. Peace, guys. Stay tuned for more content. I'm going to be doing plenty of videos today. Chicka.